everybody, and welcome again to another episode of the Risk Matrix.
The Risk Matrix! Roll Tide, baby!
The Risk Matrix, Roll Tide, obviously with James Junkin and myself, Dr. Martin. And today we've got a guest on from Veriforce, Diana Bro. Diana, wait 1 second while James fills us in on some information from our sponsors, and then we're going to go ahead and introduce you.
Yes, we'd like to announce an outstanding training and certification opportunity. Recently, Veriforce has joined forces with the National Association of Safety Professionals to present a standalone Certified Safety Manager course, CSM course. In my opinion, the CSM course by Veriforce and the National Association of Safety Professionals is one of the tickets to becoming an industry-leading safety professional. Users and participants in the course can gain unparalleled expertise and practical knowledge that will empower them to save lives and also elevate their careers. So listeners, mark your calendars for October 16th and consider joining us at Veriforce's headquarters in the Woodlands, Texas. That course is a 40-hour immersive journey into occupational safety and health. Veriforce clients receive a $300 discount by using promo code VeriforceCSM23. VeriforceCSM23. So visit NASP, that's NASP web.com/classroom and look for the October 16th CSM course in the Woodlands.
Thanks, James. So like I said, today, there's a fresh face on here. Welcome, Diana Bro. She is from Veriforce. She's the director, and I hope I get this right, the director
Service delivery.
Service delivery. I was going to say client services delivery, but services delivery. So let's just start with that, Diana. How long have you been with Veriforce, and what's been your journey to get to where you are now, and what does that entail exactly?
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I've been with Veriforce for about 4.5 years, but I've been talking to contractors, hiring clients, instructors about contractor management and orientations for the last 20 years. So prior to joining Veriforce, I was with one of the safety councils. And while I was there, I was also the director of the Mid-South OSHA Education Center. So I had a lot of involvement with putting on OSHA courses, other certifications, like one of the ones that James just talked about, similar courses, and then this idea of contractor management and very big focus on contractor orientations and how to manage those. And I just, love to be able to talk to the audience a little bit more about, why would hiring clients, contractors, and instructors want to be part of this network and these standardized contractor orientations in a contractor management system.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. You've got a lot of experience in this going back 20-something years. And just about everybody probably listening to this very familiar with the third-party verification system, pre-qualification type thing. How has that evolved as an industry over the past 20 years or so?
Well, probably many of you know that Veriforce was one of the original founders of the contractor management platform. But even prior to that, it was one of the original founders of the standardized contractor orientation of Safeland. And, it really started there. And the idea was all these contractors kept having to take these orientations every time they would move along to another site, having to take another contractor orientation. And so, a bunch of industry professionals got involved and decided they wanted to come up with a standardized orientation. And that's how Safeland evolved. Safe Gulf at the same time, around the same time, also evolved for offshore workers. And then you had some other things happening, at the Safety Council area. You've got a big PSM focus and the orientations required there. There's other pockets of standardized orientations out in LA. There's a Los Angeles Refinery Association that has a standardized orientation. There's a standardized orientation for the power utilities industry. So we find these pockets of standardized orientations typically around an industry. So the safe land orientation is around oil and gas, obviously, offshore and onshore, and then other ones are very industry focused. One of the common misconceptions is people talk about the OSHA 10 and the OSHA 30, and sometimes they want to call them contractor orientations, and it really doesn't fit the definition, right? Standardized orientation, contract orientation. It means that it should be the same content every time you deliver that. We know what the OSHA 10, I mean, OSHA 10 has its place, right? But we know with the OSHA 10 that there can be mandatory topics, optional topics. We know there's a huge focus on the hour-long topic of who is OSHA, and not everybody wants to hear all of that when they're doing their contractor orientations. Yep. It's very important, but maybe not for this particular time frame as I'm trying to get to work at a plant. So anyway, Veriforce just involved in one of the most popular ones, Safe Land and Safe Gulf. But yeah, there's quite a variety of them out there, and a lot of times very industry focused for the particular industries.
So I guess, as the director of service deliveries, is that right?
Yep.
As a director, what are you doing on the day-to-day level to help kind of bring people into this awareness of subcontractor management, but also this onboarding process? Are there specific things that Veriforce is moving into?
Yeah, I mean, so the idea of our questionnaire where we're asking contractors to complete their OSHA logs, and that same verification will be applicable to all hiring clients, so they don't have to redo that verification every time they're moving on. And that's the beauty of what we used to be called the Standardized Safety Questionnaire, SSQ. It's very commonly called. And since then, over time, others have I hate to say, copied the idea, and now we've got several companies out there that are mimicking this. But that's okay. Competition can be good, but the premise being that we don't have to completely submit every time I have a written program on lockout tag. I have to submit it and get it approved by all the different hiring clients that I work for. They can submit it once to my team. We'll verify it, and it's good for all the hiring clients they're connected to in our system. Same goes for their OSHA logs, their insurance certificates. Now, the insurance certificates, it's a little bit more, well, it's very much more hiring client specific. That has to be verified for every single hiring client because they all have different requirements for their limits and what type of coverages they require. But everything else in the platform is designed for you to just do it one time and then be able to go out to all of the hiring clients in our system that you are connected to. Now, Veriforce is really working on, that's on company level. But one of the things that, one of our focuses and has been for a long time, back to the beginning, is worker level, right? So I can be doing great things at my company level and having all of my OSHA logs completed and my written programs and my insurance documents all in order. But what am I doing for the worker? What, training, background screens, drug screens, how are we tracking that? How is everybody tracking that? When I talk to hiring clients, one of the first things I'll ask them is, how are you currently managing your contractors? And I mean, companies and workers. And I'll sometimes often get, we've got spreadsheets, we manage them spreadsheets. Or for the individuals, sometimes they'll say, we put a hard hat sticker, tell them that, they've received the orientation because we threw a video in and they watched the video. That's very common.
So I kind of, I kind of chuckle at that because, we've come so far, yet we haven't come so far. right? And I think James and I could probably commiserate that there have been way back in the early parts of our career where everything was paper safety, right? Paper safety, pre-qualification forms. You know, as a safety director, I was filling them out by hand and handing them into hiring clients. And you know, who knows where they went? Sometimes they asked questions, sometimes they didn't. There wasn't any sort of QA QC on that process or auditing or inspection of those records, unless, for example, you know, if I had a big project as a safety director and I was hiring six subcontractors, I would have to go through everything, right? And sometimes that's just not physically possible, that you have to be able to flag the things that are important and then either make a decision or move on, right? So we've come so far with what you're talking about with Veriforce and some of the other pre-qualification companies, but then, you know, it just blows my mind that people are 20 years ago kind of what I was doing by hand.
Yeah, sometimes they're stuck in that.
It's definitely streamlined the process of pre-qualification, you know, and being able to have multiple entities see contractors' information. But really where I want to kind of go with this conversation is, yes, we've gotten a better way to evaluate and verify, if you will, essential data like insurance. You know, having a contractor out there with no insurance really represents an unacceptable risk to a hiring client. We all understand that. But moving beyond that, getting workers home safe from high hazard jobs, that's the mission at Veriforce. So I know that you mentioned about getting back to the worker. Mm-hmm. And really that's our mission statement. So what about the services Veriforce has that helps get workers home safe from these high hazard jobs and helps contractors comply with hiring client expectations, but also helps hiring clients look into the safety management systems of their contractors to see if there's unacceptable risk? So I know that's a big question, but what are we doing for the work?
Yeah, I mean, you know, the training component, obviously, or orientation component is huge there. Obviously, there's some other things too, but the hiring clients typically will add a training requirement to their initial notifications. It says, you know, certain courses must be taken by their workers and by a certain date, and they need to show up on site with a card. What the beauty of our network is that we know that instructors and workers really prefer the personal touch of an in-person, or I'll even say virtual instructor. Okay. We're the only contractor management company that has access to thousands of instructors that have been vetted by our company. We have a very strict process in which we onboard instructors, and instructors have to qualify to teach the courses that are being mandated. It really sets us apart. And we do offer the virtual led distance training, but we do not offer a pure CBT web-based training for the contractor safe land orientation. Now, sometimes a hiring client will allow their site specifics to be web-based training, which is fine. But you can't get much better than an in-person, face-to-face training, because let's be honest, you know, if I am a hiring client and I mandate a web-based training course, there's a time and place for web-based training. So I'm not talking bad about web-based training, but people can get around it, right? Like I hear it all the time. I hear people
the click through.
Yeah, I mean, not just that, Linda, but
the click through.
Not just that, but it's like, oh, my secretary is taking that for me, or my wife, or my
significant
kid.
other. I've actually heard guys, when I used to work at a company that I was a safety director, they'd say, you know, what are you going to assign me? Because I have to tell my fiance that, you know, she's got to do these courses.
That's scary.
So it happens. Really scary. It happens.
So what I'm saying is, you know, these companies that's all they do. you don't know at the end of the day if the person who needs the training got it. And there's all sorts of virtual proctoring, and it's great. I mean, they're trying, they really are. But I'm telling you, there's ways around getting around those virtual proctoring that they have. So all that to say, we've got this network of instructors that have been vetted, and they go through renewal processes, and we have some pretty tight investigations that happen. So we've got tip lines, we do audits. When we get tips, we react. We react within 1 business day. We start the investigation. Because, I mean, there's going to be some bad apples out there, and so we're going to do a variety of things. We're going to call students to see, maybe tell me what happened in that class. We're going to send a secret shopper. So, sometimes we hear about, we all heard it about some not so great instructors out there. And so we've got a variety of tools in our toolbox to handle those instructors. And unfortunately, sometimes it means we have to suspend them or revoke their authorization. But hey, that's what we do. That's our job, is to make sure these guys are following our policies. We have a 45-page policy.
It's quality.
45 pages. They have to follow it. And, James is one of our instructors, our master trainers. He's teaching them from the get-go, here's what you have to do. And, sometimes once they get real comfortable, they try to cut some corners. So anyway, we've got this a system. Nobody else in this contractor management space has this. And it's hard to beat it.
I think it's good to have, a standardized training program. And I'm going to tell you why, right? My focus in life as a professional is to get people home safe from these high hazard jobs. And unfortunately, a large portion of my practice now is investigating and putting up corrective actions and mitigation plans when we fail to do so. I was talking with a oil and gas hiring client operator the other day who has had 39 fatalities within their contractor network in the past year.
Wow.
This is before the calendar turned to August. 39 fatalities. Okay, so whatever we're doing is not working at the contractor level, right? So a standardized safety training, the benefit is, as a hiring client, I know what at a minimum my contractors are getting. Is it the end all be all of training? No, it's not. But is it someplace where you can begin a foundation for training, for a foundation for a safety management system? Absolutely, it is. Absolutely, it is. So I'm very proud to be a Veriforce instructor and master trainer. Feel like I was taught by some of the best in the business. Some of them aren't with us anymore, but their legacy continues, right? So
right.
As long as I'm still here, they're still here, so to speak. And we just continue that mentor trade on down the line. So that's the training component of Veriforce. Let's talk about other services that Veriforce delivers for hiring clients, such as program evaluations. How does that work? And is that in your wheelhouse?
Yeah. So my team is the team that verifies those written programs. And so in our system, it's called program reviews. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. They submit their written programs. We have a team that verifies the program that has been submitted. The contractor actually has to, what we call, lasso, or for lack of a better term, select the text within the document that is applicable to the requirement that is in front of them. And so then my team reviews the selection that they've made, and if it's acceptable, we accept that, and then if not, reject and give comments. And then there's a process in which they can request exceptions from the hiring clients, where they're like, nope, we don't do that kind of work. Even though the program has been assigned to them, that it can be, we can get exemptions from each hiring client. So that is a process that's all handled within the system. If somebody deems, I had one yesterday who was assigned a spill prevention program, and they said, we don't do that kind of work. And I'm great, just request the exception, and that's all handled in our system.
All right, so let me follow up with that. So in other words, a hiring client will say, we would like for you, Veriforce, to examine the occupational safety and health policies and procedures of our contractor and evaluate them against a criteria. So I guess my question is, I can't just upload any type of safety manual and just say I have a safety manual and be qualified under Veriforce, can I?
No, it has to be very program specific, and it has to meet the requirement that is in front of you. So it could be specific OSHA standard. We'll put it right there on the screen to tell you exactly what standard we're trying to meet. Could just be a best practice, best business practice. We'll put that on the screen so it's very clear what you're trying to meet. But it needs to be very specific in order to be approved by my team. We're not going to hunt through a 500-page safety manual looking for the requirement to meet the requirement. You have to select the text that meets the requirement.
So, Dr. Martin, let me ask, how important is it to have good policies and procedures from a safety management system standpoint?
So you're asking that question because I'm doing 45,001 audits and
Yes,
looking at a lot of policies and procedures. So I mean, from a theoretical perspective, right? I mean, I'm gonna go theory first, right? You should always be saying what you do and doing what you say, right? So it's one thing to let's use Diana's job and her team. It's one thing for you to say you're doing something, but it's quite another if what you're doing is different or modified from that. So, you know, and let's go back to the worker perspective, right? The way you help the workers is you make sure that those policies and procedures are robust enough, not only to meet the standard, but to protect the worker during the execution of the task, during the execution of lockout, tagout, or confined space, right? So while it's important to be specific for the compliance purposes, it's also very important to be robust so that the workers know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So I don't know if that answers your questions, James, but from a theoretical perspective, I just really think that, you know, having good policies and procedures are paramount to the workers being informed about what the hazards are of the task, what the risks associated with them are, and also that we're all on the same page, right?
Yeah.
And this kind of rolls up from your subcontractors to your hiring clients, is that what Veriforce does is essentially, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is you're rolling up the feeling that we're all on the same page.
Yeah, that's a good way
We're
to
all
put
on the
it.
same page, right? And not from the subcontractor hiring client, but policies and procedures, James, we're all on the same page from management to on down to the worker.
And I think one of the other services that's a little bit outside of what Diana's team delivers, but it's a full circle. It's an all-encompassing service designed to not only pre-qualify a contractor, but establish a risk profile. So if you look at it from the standpoint of the things that Diana's talked about today, we're going to have you upload your typical pre-qualification document, your OSHA 300 logs. We can look at your injury statistics, your insurance, other contractual requirements, etc. We're going to take a look at your policies and procedures to see if those policies and procedures are meeting the regulatory standards and industry best practices. We've got a training component where we can make sure that your contractors understand and have the basic safety fundamentals. Not all the training they're ever going to need, but the basic safety fundamentals that address the key hazards that they're going to encounter in the work site and typical control measures, right? And then on the outside of that, to see if we're trying to, if contractors are actually implementing those policies and procedures and the additional training that's required. Veriforce has a strong professional services department that has a deep dive contractor audit process. So we do deep dive contractor assessments to go and see, do you do what you say you do? And if there are gaps in the program, have recommendations from qualified professionals to help you close those gaps, again, with the goal of getting workers home safe from high hazard jobs. So I don't know any third-party verification system that's in existence that does all of those things. Some of them do some of those things, but they don't do all of those things.
Yeah.
What do you think, Diana?
You took the words out of my mouth. I was about to go there, James. The professional services division, even though, yeah, it's not in my group, but yeah, I did want to give them a plug but basically what my team is doing is a document audit. You're sending in your documentation. We're saying, yes, these documents meet the requirements, but when the rubber meets the road is where that actual field audit takes place. And we do have a handful of hiring clients, but not enough that have that service as a part of their package, So yeah, we'd love to see them take it full circle all the way, from the document audits all the way to the field audits, the training requirements, it's all there. It's just up to them to implement it, and I want to speak on that for just a moment, because yes, a lot of contractors are going to wait until the mandate comes in place. We know that. But we also see contractor companies that will implement, say, our safe land basic orientation because it's a good orientation, that they're going to put all their employees through it, whether or not they're going to work at a site that requires it or not. It's the right thing to do. We care about our employees. It's just part of our standard orientation process, day one, and why not? Because you never know when you're going to be called out to duty, and you may have to do the safe land, course, or our H2S course. So the beauty of our program is that, and here's a difference between us and, say, like the safety council model. The safety council model, you have to go to the brick and mortar safety council. If there's no safety council in your backyard, then you have to send your guys to the job site and then train them once they get there, because there's usually safety councils are located close to the facilities, right? So in the Veriforce model, we allow you to have in-house instructors, and you're not always relying on the third-party guys. I mean, nothing wrong with third-party guys, James. Your company does it.
But they go through the same training, right?
Yeah.
They go through the same training and certification process, so they're as robust. And I just, Diana, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think what James is talking about and what you're talking about, and you're just going to want to tie it together, is this is all continuous improvement, right? I think you sell yourself short, right? You're like, oh, we're checking the document. No, you're not checking the documents, because you're doing one of the first steps in continuous improvement. One is saying, no, this doesn't meet those requirements. Or yes, it does, and you need help. And then, there is somebody to take it from there, I guess, we'll take it from here. And so, I think you sell yourself short, number one, or your group short, because it's a part of the piece in that continuous improvement cycle. Because eventually, if they do it right and they use the right services, and they really want to help the employee and bring workers home safe from high hazard jobs, James, they will go the extra mile, and they will certify their instructors, and they will take the safe land course, and they will try to improve, because that is what safety management systems is about.
That's right.
So,
and then just
anyway,
part of the network, we offer lots of benefits just being part of our network. James talked about one in the beginning, discounts and some training. We have a person who's dedicated to going out and finding partners that our contractors and hiring clients and instructors want to do business with. And then once we find those partners, then we try to work up some deals, So yeah, we talked about one of them.
Well, deals for the network, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, this is a terrific segue to the end of our segment, is that James introduced this partnership with NASP at the beginning, right? And the benefit of those relationships, for example, in this example, is that the people who are in the network will get a discount,
right,
to use a code. I mean, like, listen, if it's free, it's for me. If it's got a coupon, I'm in. And so, yes, you should be taking advantage of, made James laugh there. He looks so serious. It's a great segue to give another plug, Diana, if you would, for that NASP CSM course that's coming up. And then we're going to have to let you go, unfortunately. Maybe have you back for another conversation, maybe about training and the work. So if you could get us close to leading us out, Diana, what is that NASP CSM course all about?
Yeah, so it's a 40-hour course. They hold them all over the country. We're just happy to be sponsoring this one. Starts on October 16th, going to be at our headquarters in the Woodlands, Texas. We've worked up a great deal to where any Veriforce client can get a $300 discount on the course. We also worked up a great deal with a local hotel, got a great price, under $100 a night for hotel. We're going to take care of them, feed them, and it's going to be a really immersive class, and it just gets you that next level, like you said, continuous improvement in your career as a safety professional, and get you some letters to put behind your name. I think you have plenty of those, huh?
Yeah, I have plenty of those. James has plenty of those. I will say this. I know that the instructors at NASP are terrific, right? I actually personally have not gone to any of James's courses or any Veriforce courses, but I'm sure they're terrific too. But I do know these guys at NASP are great instructors, rich in experience. You know, I always like to go to a course where somebody's got some background stories and some information to impart on me, and they really do this well. So if you're in the Veriforce network, even if you're not, right, avail yourself of this opportunity to go to the Woodlands and hang out with these guys and learn. So with that, Diana, I want to thank you.
Oh, just one thing,
James
just in
wants
case
to.
we didn't catch it at the beginning, if you're interested in that course that take place on October the 16th in the Woodlands, hosted by Veriforce and NASP, please visit NASPWEB NASPweb there.com /classroom and look for that October 16th CSM date.
All right. Thanks, James. And Diana, thank you so much for coming on. Again, Diana Bro from Veriforce, Director of Client Services. Did I get it right?
Service delivery, close
Direct
enough.
Service delivery. I'm sorry, I
Thanks,
can't
Randy.
get it. I just know you do good work. But thank you for coming on and for talking with us. And this has been James Junkin. I got to wait for him to say roll tide.
Roll Tide, go Navy.
Go Navy, roll tide. And this has been the Risk Matrix with James Junkin and Dr. Martin. And thanks a lot, Diana, for coming on. We'll see you again next time.
Thanks for having me. Bye.